Hey, what's up everybody? BDF 44 coming to you with another video. Alright, I gotta sit at this interesting angle because my phone is at like 17%, but I still want to record, and this thing is going to drain the battery. So if it don't stay on the charger, this ain't going to complete. But this is another one of those therapy videos, but I think for me it's not a complaint video or I'm stressed out. I just kind of wanted to give you guys an update, if you cared any, about what we're discussing in the last couple videos, which is my car situation. So today was the final day I had to make the decision on whether or not I was going to fork over the money to get the car, and simultaneously it turned out that tomorrow was not only the deadline for that, but also the deadline for my DNV registration to be expired, meaning I had to prove to them by tomorrow that I have full coverage insurance. I didn't know that part. So I got kind of lucky just going through paperwork as I was trying to address all these things that I'd been neglecting for the last couple months, and looking at that paperwork and finding out that those days matched. They were simultaneous. So that was really, really interesting. Also, I woke up this morning, what motivated me to do this was the fact that the stock had rose almost 10 or 15%. So I'm like, yes, I got the money to do it. Yeah, thank God. I'm up here praising God. And then by the time when I made the transaction, the thing had already given back all of those gains. So I didn't actually get any discount on the amount of shares that I had to let go of in order to make that $13 amount come about. So I had to paper hand roughly about 38 shares of AMC, which is probably, like, if I'm being real with myself, probably about 2% of my 2%, maybe something like that. I don't know. I have a lot of shares, so it's like I've been building this position all year long, and it's like I'm not ready to let it go, but at the same time, it's like you have to do what you got to do. By the way, my percentages were off. That's not 2%, but either way, the point is, it was not a big fraction. Probably more like 10%. Let's just be real. I don't think it was freaking 2%, but I ain't doing the math. The point is, it was not as substantial of a amount of shares from my portfolio as I was making it out to be in my head, going crazy because I'm like, I'm giving away my everything. No, I wasn't. I was just giving away what I had to give away, and luckily enough, it was there for me to do it. Now the issue was just not handling it properly. I could have made things easier for myself. Instead of having to fork over $1,300 at once, could have forked over $200 every month and made that happen. But I was being ornery with myself, for which I won't be going forward. But all in all, this situation has gotten worse because now the insurance that I thought I had purchased, the insurance I purchased to meet the deadline, turns out not to be the right insurance. So I've run out of time. So that's going to require me to have that insurance in place and then pay the little $14 fee before I can get my car back. The good thing is I couldn't get my car back today because they moved the damn car. The lender, I guess they had a deadline for when they needed the car to be out of that particular place, and it overlaps from the deadline that we had in the agreement. So they've moved the car to another location, but it hasn't been sold. It's still very much ready for me to get, and I've paid for it, so I have the right to get it. The only problem is I have to get insurance before I can actually get it. So this is going to take about another 5-6 days before they can give me the car, and that'll give me time to find the right insurance for myself. So the insurance I purchased this morning is not good. It was a good price, but it wasn't what I needed to meet the requirement. So now I'm scrambling around trying to find insurance, and I'm waiting for them to call me back to see if I can find a good quote for myself and go from there. Because right now, it's another thing that's frustrating me is finding out that the car accident that I got into back in 2018, I told you guys about, where there was something slick in the road in a rainy day. It was like a oil slip, and I was getting on the freeway, and as soon as my tire hit it, it rippled and flipped my car upside down. Luckily, I was able to get out of there with not a scratch on me, but unfortunately, in reporting it, I let them know what was going on, sent them pictures and everything. But when it was reported to the DMV, of course, the city did not take responsibility. Of course, they put it as an at fault on my end, so that's affecting my insurance premiums. And I did not know that was on there. In fact, I don't remember that being on there. In fact, I don't think it was on there the very last time I looked for insurance, because obviously I've since tried to find insurance, but that never came up. I had a little speeding ticket, but that was it. I knew that was messing with stuff, but now this at fault just pops up. So that means I'm going to have to go back and dispute that so I can kind of get that expunged from my record. Luckily enough, City of Hawthorne's going to find out that I took pictures of the substance in the road. I took pictures of my car. took pictures of everything. So if the push come to shove, I got proof. I just didn't want to go through the hassle, man. I could have sued them people. I probably should have sued them people, and probably should still sue these people for that experience. That could have taken my life. But at the same time, it was like, well, I was already dealing with a great deal of stress and depression, just like I just got out of right now. And I wasn't mentally prepared for the hassle it was required to see that process through. I was in a different space. But now that I'm seeing it's affecting me, obviously I have to go back and fight. So that's one thing we'll be dealing with. It's just, that's the thing, man. When you live by yourself, bro, honestly, when you are all alone, doing stuff like this doesn't necessarily come easy. Having to do it's easier when you have people you can call on. Hey, let me call you. Hey, how do you do that? I don't do any of that. I just kind of handle everything by myself. So as I continue to do these things, I bump my head and make mistakes, and that's what's been happening. So now my dumb behind forked over the $1,300 to get the car, but now I don't have the proper insurance, so I can't get the car anyway. Can't tell them to give me back my $1,300 to put it back in the AMC to redo the decision because the money's gone. And so, I was telling myself, like, you got to be responsible. You need a car, for all the things that you need to tell yourself. But I was also telling myself, AMC is going to be worth this. You never leave the house. What the hell you need a car for? All it's going to do is depreciate in value and drain you of your money. And that's exactly the truth. But at the same time, I came to the conclusion that hassle was more of a ridiculous one, less of a ridiculous one than being in this house without a destination and no vehicle, and then finding myself possibly needing the vehicle and not having it. So I'm trying to meet the what's going on. I convinced myself to paper hand those shares because at the end of the day, if the money's not there to help you, then what actually is it for? If you, like, for example, I'm saving this money hoping it goes into some great wealth or something, but I could find myself in a situation where the stock could plummet to $5 a piece tomorrow and I won't have the money to get the car out. So while I'm sitting here saying, let me extend some time, maybe it'll jump up. It jumped up this morning. I'm sitting up here excited, then it slid right back down. At the end of the day, I'm definitely convinced in what I'm doing is right. And any money that I get, excess money that comes my way, is going straight back into AMC because I know what it is and I know what it's about. But in the time being, foresight doesn't provide me any sight at all. I can't see what's ahead of me, so I don't know if this thing gonna squeeze tomorrow, squeeze 3 months from now, three years from now. If I'm sitting here continuing to operate the way I have been, waiting for this thing to squeeze and letting it affect my decision making, then ultimately I'll be without a house, without a car, without clothing, and I'll be sitting on the street with nothing but my phone in my hand, hoping to God that this thing squeezes. I mean, I just can't do that. I can't do that. It's not about conviction. It's not about me looking at the price and saying, oh my God, it's diving, let me get out of here. No, life caught up to me. My bad habits, my bad practices, my bad working ethic caught up to me. And I realized that this process showed me that my behavior doesn't work for me. It's like an eye opener for me, as to say, the way that I like to behave and live my life, it has an expiration date. You can't sustain the way that I live. It's very comfortable for my anxiety. It's very comfortable for my mentality and how I am. But ultimately, every single time I try to do this, it ends up reaching a situation where I'm meeting deadlines, getting kicked out of apartments, getting my car taken. It's always something keeping me from being able to just be at peace in the way that I like to do it, which is basically be at home, get on here, speak about what I like to speak about, be passionate about it, follow my passions in music, and keep as much distance away from human beings as possible. Truly. I like talking to you. I like talking at you, so to speak. But in situations where I got to be around folks and all that, I'm just not wired that way for whatever reason. And I try to fight it, and I've been trying to fight it my whole life. And every time I find myself in professional situations, I fight it, and I find myself very, very deeply, deeply unhappy. And it's because I'm just strange in that way. And so trying to battle all that and manage my life alone, the challenge it's immense. But nevertheless, I'm still standing. Nevertheless, I'm still here. And, these are the decisions I've made. So now that I have my car situation kind of certain, the money's out of the account, I'm down $1,300+ plus whatever the insurance is going to cost. I'm at peace with the money being gone. I'm at peace with the percentage of the shares being gone because I believe I can replace them if it doesn't squeeze at some point, and been waiting for 10 months. A lot of people are excited about the pressures that's taking place right now in terms of the stock. It's like, oh my God, we're on the verge of something. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I gave up on that type of anticipation a long time ago. I'm just more so wanting to make sure I have shares at all time. And whenever it does squeeze, I'll make sure I'm exposed in that way. But as far as, just continuing to invest money that I don't have, taking chances I don't have, quitting jobs because I'm thinking I'm going to be rich overnight, that is not ever, even in a play like this, I am living proof. That is not the way to go. It's not. And I knew that then, but I was still weighing it against my unhappiness. And that's what I want everybody to understand. It's not that I wasn't able to see that this wasn't a good decision. It was just that I was hopeful, very hopeful, that I could pull this off, be able to avoid my social anxieties and all my anxieties. And this thing would just pop, make me a millionaire or whatever. And I can go off and live my life, get myself going in different directions to get my head straight so I can get the help that I need and ultimately be the type of person I want to be. But money is in the way of me getting the type of help I need. It's like, I needed to get my car. Now I need to do this to get the car. Now I got to do this. It's just, I can tell you guys, man, it was a long conversation I was having with myself and God last night in regards to, do I really want this car? And the answer I came up with is, I want to not need this car. But unfortunately, I do. And that meant that I needed to do what I needed to do to get back. And also, it put me in a position to understand that, as I said in the beginning, the money's there. When I first invested what I was going to invest in AMC, it was about the amount of money that was in the account today. That has ballooned a great deal. And because of it, I'm able to do what I need to do. And so the sacrifice wasn't lost. And I think that was part of the mental aspect of it for me. It was like, I've waited all this time, I've sacrificed, and it's come to nothing. I told you guys all that. I had to come to peace with that. In prayer and in meditation, what I came to terms with was I wasn't fighting against the squeeze necessarily, as far as me wanting to save the shares versus the sacrifice of it all. I always tell myself all the sacrifices I've made to hold my shares, but the reality was I wasn't making sacrifices to hold shares though. I was making sacrifices so I could remain in seclusion. And holding shares was something I was trying to do simultaneously, and it's not possible. You see what I'm saying? I was trying to live my way. I didn't ask for no unemployment up until this past month. Been in this house for 4 months, so how could the money sustain, right? I hadn't gotten any CalFresh information in regards to the grocery stuff help, so I was taking all that out of AMC. So the logic was lost. That's how you know it was emotional imbalance that was fueling my decision making, because the logic was never there. It was like you're selling shares, and then you're telling yourself you don't want to sell shares, and then you're not paying your monthly bills, but then you'll have to fork over all that money at once, thus selling shares. You stress yourself out. It's just, I don't want to give myself excuses, honestly, you guys. And I'm not too stupid to see all of this. It's just my anxiety really does control my actions. It really does determine how I move in real life. And that's not something I'm comfortable with in any way. That's not something I'm proud of. And it's not something that aligns with the type of consequences that I hope to receive in my life. I think a lot of people I've seen in this world, they're able to manage these things without any concern. They have help with different people they can turn to kind of motivate them or point them in the right direction, stuff like that. And I think what I want to see myself get to is to just be someone like that. Get to a point where I can just pick up the phone and call people without feeling whatever the hell I be feeling when I do. Called my grandparents this morning, my grandfather rather, this morning, and my uncle. I wanted them to kind of talk some sense into me when I was mulling over this decision. And it kind of helped me make the decision, I guess, maybe even shoot me some money if they felt in their heart to do so. I called them, and they were on their way to do something for my grandfather, and I just realized as they were doing that, I'm like, nah, 37 years of age, brother. 37 years of age. I don't care if you're mentally ill, broke, whatever. A man has to take care of his business if the resources are available for him to take care of it. And that was the problem. I can't say I needed help with my money. I didn't have it. And that conundrum between wanting to be responsible with the shares and thinking it can explode and help all my family versus having to take care of myself right now and not knowing when this thing or if this thing is going to do what I'm praying it does. That is just too much for me. It got to a point where it was so stressful that I was sitting in bed I turned on the camera, you saw the videos if you watched them. It just became too much. And the only solution I found was, what's the main thing here? My emotions, my feelings, all of that stuff is as it is. The anxiety of owning the car and not necessarily wanting to pay the monthly bills attached to it is going to be there. That situation's not going away. If I don't have a car, it's no guarantee that this thing squeezes anytime soon, thus will flush me out the house, which means I'll have to jump on the bus or Uber, which is more expensive than having a car. And it's just, we're living in a COVID era, hopping in and out of buses and in and out of people's cars. It's just not safe. You know what I mean? Let's not even fool ourselves. I'm hearing of people who are vaccinating still getting COVID. So that's one of the reasons why I've isolated the way that I have, besides my mental stuff. It's because I know that thing is out there and I'm fairly cautious of it, to be honest with you. So all of that came together and I just realized that I could sit up here with the shares that I was staring at, with a fist in the air, being very, very hopeful, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, I would have been left without a car, left without really anything to show for that, especially if the stock continues to drag and consolidate the way that it has all summer long. And even more so, the part that bothers me the most, beyond all of the things that I've talked about, is because I wasn't making any money, because I wasn't working, I wasn't buying. And that's even more egregious than selling. If you're an ape like me, when you know what this thing is about and you know what we're doing, everything I've done has been mismanaging me of that situation. So if you're an ape, a real one who sacrificed hard, who's held every share, I apologize to you for letting you down. I let me down. But I still have a great deal of shares. And the reason why I've let myself get to this point where this has been so hard is because I damn believe in this. Damn believe in it. And I just wish that I had better, more mature practices as a man to make it so that I was able to hold those shares like I was supposed to. I just failed us to a degree. But I still have a lot, so I'm not a full failure. But at the end of the day, I want to encourage everybody, if you believe in what you're doing, but you find yourself faced with real life like I was, and it kind of, those two things can't match. What came to me, honestly, after a long bit of prayer, was whatever decision you make, you'll live with it. You'll be okay with it. That was the decision I came to. It's like either way you go, it's going to send you on a path one way or another. If you continue to make the sacrifices, let your car go, don't pay no bills at all, find yourself in situations, I'm pretty sure somehow you'll land on your feet. But if you choose to take the safer route, do what's more conventional, take care of what's obvious, like your business, and get a car and get all that, I'm pretty sure you'll be at peace with the fact that you have the convenience of a vehicle as well as the path that it'll take you to. So in other words, you're not going to get any answers here. Just do what you want to do and it'll work out either way. So I just took the easy route, which was ultimately get my car back in my possession, and let the rest fall into place. I'm okay with this decision. I think I would have felt better if if the insurance situation would have fallen into place so that I didn't have to run into this. But honestly, if I'm being real, the only thing that this thing says in regards to that suspension is that I would need to get that insurance and then pay extra $14 and have that faxed to them, which is literally all I'm going to do right now. Is going to try to get the insurance and have it faxed to them. It's just $14 missing. What am I going to do, right? I've done the most important part of it, which was pay off what it required to get the car back into my possession. Now, everything else that falls into place, what I have to wait to do that, how long it takes to get the car back, I was prepared to be without the car, period. So that part that's not as important. I think now what I feel, y'all, honestly, even though I'm a little frustrated about the insurance and all that stuff, it's relief. It's relief. I've been stressing about this car since they took it back on the 14th of October, and it has not been a single day that has actually been fully okay because I've been constantly stressing and mulling over this decision. And on the 25th, I was able to get an extension. So I had a good 3 days of not thinking about this, because after that extension, I just kind of relaxed, and prayed a little more and kind of got back to being me. But then the anxiety came back after that 3-day period when this week started. And I just got back into the mode. And, it's one of those things where it's like, if you're going to fight depression, ladies and gentlemen, you have to be productive. You can't allow yourself to not eat. You can't allow yourself to not exercise and do the things that you're passionate about, work and all that. And that's what I did. I fought myself to assure that I continued to work out throughout the depression stint. So I feel good. I'm not I'm not feeling anything negative right now, other than just wishing I could have got that insurance in place. But I thought I was going to miss the shares more so. I thought I was going to look at that amount and feel something about the money, but I don't. I really don't. Part of that is because my situation's gotten a little better with the help that's going to be coming. So all in all, you guys, just because a person can get on this camera, speak to you about a specific topic, make sense in what they're saying, or just because a person has a personality that allows you to see that they're fine, like, this guy's a normal guy. This guy's not a normal guy. This guy has a very, very serious struggle with his own mental health. That doesn't mean I can't speak about basketball all day. That doesn't mean that I can't be draped in the greatest of clothing, given a microphone, and then suddenly told I'm a role model. That doesn't mean that when I approach a certain situation, I'm not gonna approach it like a man, or like I have some sense. It just means when I go home, I deal with my anxiety. It means when I close my mouth, maybe I'm thinking of something that ain't necessarily helpful for myself. Maybe when I get to a point where I'm confused, maybe I don't react to it in a way that I would like to see myself react. There are various ways of mental illness, and there are various levels of intelligence that comes with that mental illness. And I just want people to understand that the slightest issues can be an effect on a person's mental health, depending on what type of head they have, So when we talk about mental illness, or when we talk about is this a mental health situation, or I see people laugh and they say he's not a mental health person, all he did was just do something crazy. Like, yes, no, that's a mental health situation. Even if it's slight, even if they're a genius, even if they dress well and have great hygiene, they still may be dealing with something on the inside that you can't understand nor make sense of if explained to you. So I'm one of those, but I don't look at myself as a victim. I do my very best not to feel sorry for myself, you know what I mean? Sans the depression, but that's not what I'm talking about. I mean, like, literally feeling like someone owes me something. I think not. I think at the end of the day, if you have what it takes to take care of your issue, then there's nothing in the way of you taking care of that issue. That's what I'm going to want to say to you guys. If the resources are there, just apply them. Because I'm the type of person where the resources can be there and the problem will be there, and I won't put the two together. I'll just sit there and stress over the problem while stressing over the fact that I have to part with the resource. And that's what I found myself dealing with today. And look, hell, that's a whole nother type of conversation as it pertains to if AMC squeezes tomorrow morning, how stupid was the decision that BDF made to get his car back? No question. I've already thought of that. That's part of the reason I had a hard time getting out of bed most mornings. But what I couldn't live with was the fact that I was emotionally doing something in the same vein that put me in the same depressive space that I was in, which was sacrificing not what it is that was necessary to sacrifice, but sacrificing in the name of protecting my anxieties. And so, yeah, that's what it is. I just want to be completely and utterly transparent with you guys. I'm looking very much forward to getting some help for my head, some help for my anxiety, some help for my social issues, for childhood traumas and whatever the hell else is going on in my skull. And I'm going to continue to bring you guys NBA basketball stuff because that's what I can do. You know what I mean? That's what I can tangibly always bring to you no matter what. No anxiety attached to that. And also, my music thing, man. My music thing, I know that's like a separate lane, but it's an equal passion for me. Yeah, I'm broke up in two places. One side of me is musical, the other side of me is basketball. And the rest is just a guy trying to figure out how the hell to get out of his own way and having a very, very tough time doing so. But I believe when you start building something like I'm building this channel, and you build it slowly and you put your all into it and you be transparent with the people, you will see everything else fall into place. And that's exactly what I hope to do here. So I thank y'all for building with me. My name is BDF 44, and I got a lot to be thankful for. Do you understand what I'm saying? I got what I have in regards to my hope. I have the strength to know that 37 years of this and I'm still standing. I got a family, even though I don't necessarily be as close to them. I'm very much passionate about their success and about their livelihood and them being okay and them being happy and them being, close to one another. And ultimately, I've missed out on a ton. So if I can encourage you to do anything, get help early. If you see your kids struggling with something, get them help early. Because what ends up happening if they don't get help is that they will spend their entire lives trying to protect against whatever it is that their head is telling them to protect against, and they won't experience life like they're supposed to. They won't get out and be in those places. I know I should be there. But I got to be able to bring myself to get out of here. And that's the hardest thing for me in the world, I tell you. And it's not even like if I'm forced out the house, I won't get out the house. It's just that while I'm sitting here without the need to leave, I won't bring myself to go anywhere. And that's how I've been my whole life, buddy. That's how I've been my whole life. My mother and father weren't like that. It's just an independent gene, I guess. But it is what it is, man. My name is BDF44 once again. This has been very helpful. So thank you guys for supporting that aspect of my game, the therapy sessions. And I'm going to keep them going, being as transparent and honest as possible. But there's a conclusion here. The car will be back in my possession. That's how it ended. I'm going to get the car back. Had to sell the shares. So that's what it is, man. Y'all say a prayer for one another, man. I don't like telling people to pray for me. I do enough praying for me. Pray for one another, you guys, and just understand I'm praying for all of us. And I think when we get to a place where we can kind of put aside the differences in the skin colors and who do you mess with, who are you into, once you start putting aside some of that stuff, we can start really breaking down why we have certain things about ourselves that we can't seem to get overcome, different things that we just can't get out of our own way. Maybe you don't have it in such a ridiculous way like I do, but maybe you just got some habits you can't shake them. Maybe you got some demons they're not leaving you alone. I don't effectively have a solution, but what I can say is don't give up, don't lose hope, don't lose sight of what it is that your main goal is, and don't be alone like me. Don't find yourself wanting and longing for isolation, because when you need help, it's the people that you're neglecting to help that'll ultimately be there to help you. But if you're absent, you can't be there for them, y'all. My name is BDF44 again for the fourth time, and I'm out.